Have you ever felt trapped in a web where every struggle seems to pull you deeper into the sticky threads of victimhood? Imagine, if you will, a spider's web. Intricate, interconnected, it's a marvel of nature's architecture. You, an unsuspecting fly, stumble into this web. The more you struggle, the more entangled you become. This web, my friends, is a metaphor for the concept of victimhood. Now, victimhood isn't about actual victims of circumstances or crime, but about a mindset, a state of being where one perceives themselves perpetually as a victim. It's about playing the victim, even when there are no oppressors around. It's about blaming others or circumstances for one's miseries, rather than taking responsibility for one's actions. This mindset can be a self-perpetuating cycle, much like our spider's web. The more we indulge in it, the more we become entangled in its sticky threads. We become trapped in a narrative of our own making, where we're always the victim, always at the receiving end of life's hardships. But why do we fall into this web? Well, playing the victim can sometimes be an easy way out. It absolves us of responsibility. It garners sympathy. It even gives us a sense of entitlement. But in the long run, it's a trap. It keeps us from growing, from learning, from moving forward. It's essential to recognize this web for what it is. It's not an external entity trapping us, but a construct of our own making. It's our thoughts, our perceptions, our narratives that spin this web. Recognizing this is the first step towards freedom. It's like the fly, realizing that its struggles are what's keeping it trapped. The moment we stop struggling, stop blaming, stop playing the victim, we begin to free ourselves from this web. Of course, it's easier said than done. The threads of victimhood can be sticky, and escaping them requires effort. But the first step, as they say, is half the battle won. Understanding victimhood is the first step towards freeing ourselves from its sticky threads. Let's embark on this journey together, shall we? The journey from victimhood to empowerment, from entrapment to freedom. Are you ready? Every person's web of victimhood is unique, spun from threads of personal experiences. Let's dive into the world of stories, where each tale is woven with threads of reality and emotion. There's Sam, a hardworking professional who always seems to get the short end of the stick. Despite his best efforts, he's often overlooked for promotions, and he can't help but feel the universe is against him. He's trapped in a loop of self-pity, unaware that his mindset is part of the problem. Then we have Lisa, a talented artist who's never quite satisfied with her work. She's constantly comparing herself to others, convinced that they're naturally gifted while she has to struggle. In her mind, she's a perpetual victim of circumstance, unable to see that her self-deprecating thoughts are holding her back. Our third story introduces us to Jack, a charismatic individual who's quick to point fingers. When things go wrong, he's always ready with a list of people to blame. He sees himself as a victim of others' incompetence, oblivious to his own role in the situation. Each of these stories illustrates a different form of victimhood. Sam's story is about self-pity, Lisa's about self-defeat, and Jack's about blame. They're all entangled in their own webs, trapped by their perspectives, and unable to see beyond their self-imposed limitations. Yet, it's essential to remember that these stories aren't about pointing fingers or casting blame. Instead, they serve to illuminate the different ways we may fall into the victimhood trap without realizing it. Sam, Lisa, and Jack are not just characters in a narrative. They're reflections of real people, perhaps even reflections of ourselves at different times in our lives. Each story is an echo of a larger narrative, one that encompasses the shared human experience of feeling victimized, helpless, or unfairly treated. The key takeaway from these stories is not that victimhood is a character flaw, rather, it's a mindset, often a subconscious one, that can sneak up on any of us. It's a web we spin for ourselves, a narrative we construct based on our experiences, perceptions, and beliefs. Recognizing this is the first step toward rising above victimhood. It's about understanding that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we react and interpret these events. It's about shifting our perspective from one of a passive victim to an active participant in our life story. So, as we journey through these stories, let's strive to do so with empathy and understanding. Let's recognize the threads of victimhood in our own lives and seek to untangle them. Let's challenge ourselves to rise above our own webs and weave a new narrative, one where we're not victims, but victors. The stories we've shared are echoes of a larger narrative, one that many of us are unknowingly a part of. Untangling ourselves from the web of victimhood may seem daunting, but it's not impossible. We start this process by cultivating self-awareness. It's like switching on a light in a dark room, illuminating patterns of thought and behavior that might have been invisible to us before. When we're self-aware, we can begin to notice when we're slipping into the victim mindset. We might catch ourselves blaming others for our troubles, or feeling powerless in the face of challenges. It's a bit like being a detective of our own minds, looking out for clues that we're falling into old patterns. Once we've identified these patterns, self-reflection comes into play. This isn't about criticizing ourselves or feeling guilty. Rather, it's about understanding why we fall into the victim mindset. Perhaps it's a defense mechanism, a way of avoiding responsibility, or a learned behavior from childhood. The important thing is not to judge ourselves harshly, but to approach this process with kindness and curiosity. Now, here's where positive affirmations come into the picture. These are powerful tools that can help reshape our thought patterns. Instead of thinking, "I can't do this," we might say to ourselves, "I have the power to overcome challenges." Instead of feeling helpless, we affirm our ability to take control of our lives. The beauty of positive affirmations is that they can be tailored to our unique needs and challenges. They're a bit like personalized motivational speeches designed to inspire us and remind us of our strengths. It's also helpful to surround ourselves with positive influences. This could be supportive friends, inspirational books, or uplifting podcasts. These influences can serve as reminders that we're not alone in our journey and that it's possible to break free from the web of victimhood. But remember, this untangling process takes time. It's not about instant transformation, but gradual change. It's about small steps taken consistently that lead us towards freedom. So let's be patient with ourselves. Let's celebrate our progress, however small it may seem. And let's remember that every step we take, every thought we transform, brings us one step closer to breaking free from the victim mindset. Breaking free from the web doesn't happen overnight, but each step we take brings us closer to freedom. So what happens when we finally break free from the web of victimhood? Well, it's like stepping out of a dense fog into a clear morning. Suddenly, everything seems possible. The world is no longer a battlefield, but a playground where we get to explore, learn, and grow. Let's start with self-esteem. Imagine a balloon tied down by a string. That's our self-esteem trapped in victimhood. But once we cut that string, our self-esteem begins to rise. It's not inflated with arrogance or delusion, but with genuine self-belief. We start to see our worth, not as a product of what has happened to us, but what we are capable of. Next, our relationships start to transform. When we're stuck in victimhood, our connections can often be marred by blame and resentment. But as we rise above, we begin to cultivate healthier relationships. We no longer seek validation from others, but instead offer understanding and empathy. And in return, we attract the same. It's like changing the radio station from one that plays only sad songs to one that plays a mix of everything. There's joy, there's sorrow, there's excitement, and there's peace. And then there's personal growth. When we stop playing the victim, we start playing the lead role in our life story. We become the authors of our own destiny. We learn from our mistakes, we celebrate our victories, and we embrace our journey. Each day becomes a new chapter, filled with opportunities to learn and grow. But remember, rising above victimhood doesn't mean we won't face challenges. Life will continue to throw curveballs, but now we catch them, we learn from them, and we throw them back with newfound wisdom and resilience. So when we ask, what's on the other side of the web? The answer is simple: a better, stronger, more authentic version of ourselves. A version that's not defined by the past, but by the possibilities of the future. A version that sees challenges not as setbacks, but as stepping stones. Rising above victimhood is like stepping into a new world, one where we're no longer defined by our struggles, but by our strength. As we leave the old web behind, we begin to weave a new one that supports rather than traps us. In the grand tapestry of life, we are both the weavers and the threads. We have the power to shape our own narratives, to choose the colors that will define us. No longer do we need to remain ensnared in the web of victimhood. Instead, we can elect to weave a new web, one that fosters resilience and empowerment. So, how do we transition from being the trapped to becoming the weavers? How can we foster a mindset that promotes resilience and empowerment? Well, it all begins with cultivating a positive self-perception. It's about recognizing our worth beyond the circumstances that may have previously defined us. Now, don't be mistaken, this is not about denying the hardships we faced or brushing off our struggles. It's about acknowledging them, but refusing to let them dominate our story. We don't have to be defined by our past, but we can learn from it. Here's a simple yet powerful strategy to start. Reframe your narrative. Instead of saying, "I'm a victim of circumstance," say, "I am a survivor, I'm resilient." This shift in perspective can drastically change how we perceive ourselves and our ability to cope with challenges. Next, we delve into the realm of healthy coping mechanisms. These are the tools we use to navigate through life's storms without losing ourselves in the process. These could be as simple as practicing mindfulness, seeking support from loved ones, or engaging in activities that bring us joy and fulfillment. Remember, resilience isn't about never falling down, it's about getting back up every time we do. And while we're at it, let's not forget the power of empathy. Empathy allows us to connect with others on a deeper level, fostering understanding and compassion. It helps us realize that we are not alone in our struggles, and this shared humanity can be a powerful catalyst for change. Weaving this new web is a journey, not a destination. It won't happen overnight, and that's okay. It's a process of growth, of becoming more than what we were yesterday. It's about embracing our power to change, to rise, to evolve. And as we weave, we'll find that this new web is not a trap, but a safety net. It's a network of resilience, empathy, and empowerment that supports us as we navigate the complexities of life. It's a testament to our strength, our survival, and our ability to transcend. In this new web, we're no longer victims, but weavers of our own destiny. And that, my friends, is a web worth weaving. Rising above victimhood is a journey, not a destination. As we navigate this intricate web, let's recall the key points we've discussed today. We began by exploring the complexities of the web of victimhood, understanding that it's not a simple trap, but a complex dynamic of emotional and social factors. We then delved into real stories, seeing firsthand how these dynamics play out in real life, and recognizing the signs of when someone is playing the victim. But understanding is just the first step. We moved on to discuss strategies for untangling ourselves from this web. It's not about pointing fingers or blaming, but about becoming self-aware of our own behaviors and reactions. It's about acknowledging our feelings, but not allowing them to control our narrative. From there, we looked at the other side of the web, the side often overlooked, the effect on those around us. We've seen how the victimhood dynamic can strain relationships and distort our perception of others. It's a sobering view, but a necessary one to fully grasp the breadth of this issue. And finally, we talked about weaving a new web, a web not of victimhood, but of empowerment. A web where we take responsibility for our actions, where we channel our emotions into growth, and where we build healthier relationships. So what does it mean to rise above victimhood? It means to stop seeing ourselves solely as victims and start seeing ourselves as individuals with the power to change. It means to stop blaming others for our misfortunes and start taking control of our own narratives. It means to stop letting our past define us and start using it as a stepping stone towards a stronger, more resilient future. The road to rising above victimhood is not easy. It's a road filled with self-reflection, acknowledgement, and change. But it's a journey worth undertaking, because at the end of the road lies not just a better understanding of ourselves and others, but a stronger, more empowered self. Remember, the power to rise above victimhood lies within you. It's time to break free from the web and weave a new narrative of strength and resilience. Your journey towards rising above victimhood starts now. It's time to step out of the shadows of passive acceptance and into the light of active transformation. We've walked together through the intricate web of victimhood, untangled its threads, and now it's time for you to weave a new narrative. A narrative of resilience, strength, and personal growth. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. Perhaps you have a story to share, some insights or questions. Your voice matters, and your experiences can serve as a beacon of hope for others navigating similar paths. If you found this video helpful, Don't hesitate to share it with others. You never know who might need to hear this message today, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more empowering content that helps you navigate life with grace and understanding. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, you are more than your struggles. You are strong, resilient, and capable of rising above.